I've recorded this video 3 goddamn times already. I've got to get it right this time. So hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Bully Maximo, and I'm here checking out Super Mutant Alien Assault. This is a arcadey shooter in the vein of Super Crate Box. And hopefully a few of you perked your ears up at that, because that's actually a pretty neat thing to have. We'll go have a quick look in the options menu. So if we go to general, you can turn off the screen shake and the screen kick, which is pretty nice. You usually don't see them separate from each other, but, well, there you go. You can rebind every button with another button. There are actually a fair few abilities you have in this game, so it's kind of nice to be able to rebind them like that. And you can change the sound and the music volumes to your leisure. I think the game's a little bit quiet on the Vita speakers. I don't know if it's just me, but then again, a lot of the time I was spending with this game was trying to play it while also watching a video or something in the background, so it might have been overridden by that, but even with all that turned off, it still felt a little quiet. You can also come here to see a sound test. There's like 8 songs in this game, and they do start to loop a little bit. So yeah, you might want to be a little bit careful about that, but it's still pretty decent audio, although some of the songs are absolutely meme-worthy. It sounds like a guy's just going wah 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 into his bloody microphone just all the time. It sounds weird when you actually hear it. So this actually came out last week, but I haven't gotten around to doing a video on it yet, mainly because you weren't actually able to download it until this morning. I'm not entirely sure why that happened, but it has already happened with a couple of other games on the Vita store before, so yeah, there you go. So we're going to hit play and go and play the regular mode. The endless mode is basically just the regular game, but it loops. You get all your pickups at the start, and I don't think they let you switch them, and you have a lot less health. So yeah, we're going to be playing on the normal difficulty, because I've tried this video 3 goddamn times on heroic, and the game has just absolutely fucked me with the weapons it decides to spawn. So we're just going to play on normal, so I stand a chance. You can choose to start at a galaxy that you've made it to, but you need to go through the entire game in one shot in order to unlock the next difficulty. So, you know, unless you need to really practice on galaxy number 3, I wouldn't suggest doing that. You can also change your robot. I don't think this actually has anything to do with anything, it's just a visual flair. You can also pick what item you start with. A special ability, a perk, or a sidearm, just any of the general pickups in the game, depending on how far into the game you've gotten. I'm going to start with a chakram, because it's actually relatively powerful and pretty useful. And, well, the annoying thing about the game is if you don't have a sidearm, your first drop is almost guaranteed to be a sidearm. So, there you go. So, this game's a lot like Super Crate Box. No, seriously, it really does feel a lot like Super... Oh, for God's sake. So, I need to look at my Vita while I play this game instead of looking at my monitor like I usually do, because holy crap, shit swarms in this game, and it gets hard to see. If you're trying to focus on like one side of the screen, you are going to be completely open to getting absolutely destroyed by anything that shows up on any other part of the screen. So, I said this game was like Super Crate Box, and I was not kidding. You have terminals for both random weapons and random explosives. And when you go up to one of these terminals and press the button, you'll be given either a random weapon or a random explosive. Both of these can hurt you. And great, I just had to see what else I got in my explosives, and I got mines. Because yes, mines can hurt you. They have limited ammo, of course. You also have a bunch of other abilities, and I've unlocked a lot of them, so we can actually talk about all of them. You get a defensive ability, which is on square by default. And that will usually do something like dodge, let you move really quickly to get out of the bloody way. Or, oh god. No, for God's sake, you couldn't have given me something else. Okay. Right. You just stay up there so I can get this to the canister. But yeah. First things first is you get a sidearm, which you default back to every time you run out of ammo. And when you use the sidearm, it's weak, and it usually won't do if you're being swarmed, but it's often relatively useful just for taking out one or two... Oh, fuck me. Every bloody time I stand in front of one of those doors for too long, they spawn a bunch of dudes in front of it. You do get a fair warning. I know this, because I've seen the light in front of the door light up way too many times. But for the life of me, if I'm trying to focus on one part of the screen, I can't see what's going on the other parts of the screen, and I end up getting screwed by almost anything else. It's honestly really frustrating, and I think the game could do to be a little bit better about making that stuff a little bit more visible, because, good lord. Anyway. So yeah, you got your sidearm, you got your defensive move. You also have a special ability. So if I hit triangle right now, game goes into bullet time mode. That's my special weapon that I picked up. And that relies on special ammunition, which is dropped on enemies' deaths. And you can also get it via the brown crates that spawn at the beginning of every individual level. Simple enough. What else is there that I haven't talked about? I've talked about how, yeah, explosives are on the L button and firing your weapons is on the R button. You can also cook your grenades. They emphasize that cooking your grenades is incredibly important in this game, and I do agree with them because holy crap. Cooked grenades in this game are incredibly useful. One of the major differences between Super Crate Box and this, though, is that at the beginning of every level, you'll be given an objective. Sometimes this objective is very simple. The objective, for example, on this level is simply survive, which is fantastic. But there are objectives on other levels. For example, there was the objective I did on the previous level, which is Hyperdrive. And Hyperdrive basically requires you to grab a canister from one end of the level and get to the other end of the level a set amount of times. There is also, I can't remember exactly what they call it, but it's basically the same concept, but it's also a ball that you can throw, and if an enemy runs into it, they basically become a more powerful version of that enemy. There is a thing in I don't know what to call it. The game doesn't actually name it, so I just call it a thing. But it's a thing that sends out radioactive pulse waves every few seconds, and if an enemy's caught in it, they will get more powerful, so it prevents you from staying in an area for too long. At least in most cases when it actually bothers to show up. Every 4 levels, you'll get to fight the boss. Here he comes. The bosses in this game are actually really freaking difficult. They have really long health bars. They will follow you to the ends of the earth, no questions asked. And thankfully you'll be able to resupply your weapons at pretty much any point. So you can at least keep the fire going, although it's, oh god. You can at least keep the fire up, but... yeah, I was hoping those were, what do you call them? Cluster grenades. Ooh, C4. Boom. C4. Boom. Apparently I managed to fuck her off, you stupid little... fuck! Right. Yeah, if you couldn't tell, this game is a little bit hard. There's a lot of shit on the screen all the time, and as I said before, unless you are really, really, really damn good at multitasking, like massively capable of it, you're not going to be able to keep the entire view of the game on screen at once. So trying to avoid everything in this game is a nightmare. I don't even have my bloody double jump perk, which I'm surprisingly used to having, so it's kind of screwing me right here. But yes, the game is very difficult. I am actually a lot better at it than I look, mainly because I'm a lot better at it than I look, mainly because when I unlocked the heroic difficulty, I almost got all the way through it. I got to like the 3rd ship and the 2nd level, which was like level 10 of 12. Oh, here's pressure, by the way. Those little, when these little things down here light up and start klaxoning, you need to go and shut them off, otherwise they will eventually cause you a heart of damage, which you do not want. But yes, the game is very difficult. They have a lot of enemies that just tend to swarm you. And if you're not paying very close attention to where they're about to come out, you will just go running straight into them. And I gotta say, some of the weapons they give you in this game are almost completely unfair to serve purpose, because it does the super crate box thing where weapons are more of a danger to you than you are to the enemies in general. So you end up in this really bad situation where they give you an item or like they just gave me regular old ammo, which isn't great here. But then again, I've got a shotgun. I could have a lot worse weapons at the moment. But yeah, sometimes they'll give you weapons that are just completely useless. Like there's this one weapon where it's literally just a big round ball that rolls along the ground and will only go into a cataclysmic explosion when you hit it with like your sidearm, because they immediately swap you back to your sidearm. And if you get a bad weapon, thankfully it's not as bad as Super Crate Box, where there might be endless dudes just crowded around the next box in line, and your weapon station is... Ow. God damn it. Your weapon station is up there, and usually not hard to get to, but sometimes it is. So when you get screwed with a bad weapon drop, you will feel it. You will goddamn feel it. And there's really not that much you can do if you get a bad drop. You just have to hope for the best. Levels are pretty short, but one of the things that higher difficulties do is make them longer. So you saw that I had to make 3 trips back and forth there between the place that drops off the fuel and the place where you drop it off. And so there's a little bit of a performance problem here when the whole screen is shaking. So if you turn that off, that might actually result in the game performing better on the Vita. Haven't tried it personally because I just wanted to show it off like this for demonstration purposes, but there you go. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is that this game is, like Super Crate Box, appropriately cruel, and I really wish they'd kind of stop that, or at least make the more useless weapons at least slightly more useful. Like, holy shit, every time I get a fucking plasma sword in this game, I start crying internally, because it means that I'm going to be completely useless for the next 10 seconds. It's honestly really frustrating when it fuck me with a rake attached to a cactus. I really should be using my bloody bullet time more. You can actually get a new weapon and some new explosives just before you leave. But if A, you forget to do that, or B, they make it so that you can't really get to it before the next wave starts, you're kind of boned. Regular grenades, very good. I'll just throw that down there, and thank you, Lord. Alright, it's one of these. So I have to pick up the ball, avoid him, and roll it in the goal. There are also some neat gameplay tricks you can learn. Like there's when you're on a one where you have to disable the klaxoning towers, you can actually disable them with explosives. So if you've got like a rocket launcher or a grenade launcher and you fire it in just the right way. See what I mean when I say you have to make sure it doesn't actually touch any of the enemies, because it's very bad when they get irradiated. They get, well, either they get faster or they get stronger. That seems to be the general problem with it. Ow. Minigun's actually pretty useful, unlike in Super Crate Box where it bloody flies everywhere. So yeah, here's the fucking bombs I was telling you about, by the way. Completely useless when you got the chakram. Except that wasn't actually that bad, but give me a better weapon, please. Oh good, I got an assault rifle and I got C4 charges. I think this will actually do me pretty well for this boss at the moment. So here's the second boss. The enemies, their attacks, and all that general... Really? Didn't even get to see that. No. Yeah, you know what? You can stay back there while I get a new weapon. There we go. Well, that's C4, so I can try out another one. A bullet time on, so I've got a little bit more time to react. Not gonna help me out here. Oh dear. Mines. Just drop them down here and have my chakram immediately blow them up, because It's inspired by Super Crate Box. Could you not tell? Don't give me the pogo stick. Give me the. Honestly, the sniper rifle doesn't help me out that much more, especially considering they're all the way up there. Christ Almighty. Nope, I completely screwed that up. The problem with the cluster grenades is that their cook time is actually way shorter. So you need to be very careful with them. So I'm going into the third ship with... Oh no, they've given me a new boss. God damn it. So I'm going into a new ship with only 1.5 hearts. This isn't a very good spot to be in. It also hasn't given me a weapon restock station. This is also a bad place to be in, especially on pressure, where you need to fucking leg it between these things, otherwise you will start taking damage. Oh, Christ Almighty. Right, I gotta remember that I've got my defensive abilities, because they can redirect enemies at the best possible times. Bugger off. Bugger off. Bugger off. Yes, I did literally just shoot right past that dude, because the sniper barrel can literally just go right through these bastards. Oh. Oh, yep, and I'm dead. Okay. Apparently I can unlock an M16 sidearm when I finish 3 more levels. They slowly give you more stuff to play with as you go on. Let's try heroic difficulty. As I said before, there isn't really much that difference between them. The levels take longer and you have less health. That seems to be the long and the short of it. Let's get a different defensive move. Let's get... I think this is dodge? Yeah, that's dodge. Alright. And I get the sniper rifle again. So, other than the difficulty being a bit shit, there is some problems with things like the collision masks. Like, you saw that there. Honestly, it looked like I was nowhere near the fucking dude. This seems to happen a fair amount, often more than I would like in this game. And it really comes back to bite you in the ass later on, especially in a situation like this. I couldn't get back up there until they, oh. And it gives me the sword. That's even worse. The thing about the collision masks in this game is that they seem surprisingly biased away from you. So, you just end up in a really bad situation just because the game's collision masks are just a little bit more unfair than they really need to be. Especially in the case of dodging. Like, you can see how little the dodge roll window I have there. There are enemies that dodging will simply not work on because they're too big. And their collision mask... Oh, for God's sake. This is the last thing I needed right now. Especially since you get stuck in a little thing like that. God damn it. And I've lost half my health already on the first level. This is fantastic. You can dodge in midair, but as I said, some of these enemies are just too big, so unless you time your dodge perfectly, you're still going to get hit anyway. So, honestly, I just have this annoying tendency to forget about my ability to dodge more often than not, and now I'm not going to be able to get back to that without getting him out of the way. And it's this thing! When I literally don't have something that's safe for me to actually hit it and get out of the way with. This is... Oh, not again. Alright, hit that and immediately get blown half to shit with it. Oh, Jesus Christ. I swear to God I'm half decent at this game. I swear on my life. I don't understand why I'm sucking so bad today. Back to normal. Jesus wept. Let's go with dash. Why the hell not? Let's go see what this is. Right. Don't have a proper weapon yet, so I can't actually break it. Fantastic. Rocket launcher. Good. Right, I'm gonna have to get down there, aren't I? Bad. Yes, that thing just managed to shoot a bloody thing out of its ass at me on a completely different level. God damn it. Like, it's not bad, not really. It's just really fucking hard, and for some reason, it just really seems to be stacking the deck against me today, and I don't know why. This is honestly kind of shit. I mean, it's usually not this bad. It's just... Of course, like, as soon as I... Christ. As soon as I get onto camera, as soon as I get on camera, it'll just decide, oh, it's time for him to start sucking now. That's just how these things go. Well, it takes a lot of shots to bring these things down. So if I wanted to make a gripe about this game that wasn't just about its difficulty, it would be mainly the idea that the unlockables come a little bit too slowly. Especially since a lot of the unlockables you get are actually just the same items you can get in the game just as, like, as starting items. So you just end up in a position where you think, oh, I'm about to get something new, and it just turns out to be something that you never really want in the first place, being given to you at the beginning of the game, instead of at least somewhere where you can compensate for it being a complete pile of arse rape. But that is unfortunate. But at least it's not the worst thing in the world. Christ almighty. Don't even have double jump yet. There we go. Oh, that terminal is a green end. Damn it! The one bloody fly I missed, and somehow it turns out to be the one to get me. Right. But yeah, there are double ones there, so that it'll fill up both your explosives and your weapon at the same time. Unfortunately, if you don't want to swap weapon, but you want to swap explosives, well, tough shit. Yeah. But yeah, my major gripe is that the game takes a bit too long to feed you new unlockables, and when it does feed you an unlockable that's like a weapon that you never really want in the first place, it kind of means that you just end up with the same sort of weaponry for a while, and it can kind of get a bit repetitive. Like, the amount of time you have to spend with just, like, you know, a pistol or whatever as your regular old sidearm instead of anything particularly interesting is not great. And I would like to see at least more unlockables come a little bit faster, but I'll just throw this down here. Really? You spend all that time down there, and then the minute I get something that can actually finish you off, you jump up to meet me. Fantastic. God damn it. Overall, it's not a bad game. Really, it's not. It's just incredibly frustrating from time to time. You gave me a bunch of free grenades there so I could show off how disabling something with explosives works, which is nice. Just, I don't really know what else to say about it. It's really hard. It's still pretty enjoyable at the end of the day, but be prepared, you will get screwed. There's no way that you won't eventually end up in a really bad position just because the game decided not to give you a decent dice roll. If you can take that and you want something that's a little bit more like Super Crate Box with a little bit more depth, longevity, and vitality to it, this will do you pretty well. Of course, if you're like me and you can't stand frustrating games like this that can be decided by a single dice roll, might be a good idea to avoid this one like the Black Death. Oh, where the hell did he go? Up there, right. Eat cluster grenades! That didn't actually do much damage. Why? Oh, great. Pogo stick. Oh, I actually made it work that time. Sometimes getting the pogo stick can be a blessing. Sometimes getting it can be an absolute curse. That time it was good because I had a pretty decent amount of vertical clearance. But if you don't have vertical clearance when you're trying to jump on an enemy, you're more than likely to come back down, get hit on the side, and lose some health. As we already went over, the game itself runs perfectly fine. There are a couple of situations where the frame rate will go to shit, but other than that, it's okay. Hit. Shoo. Alright, so they're both down there, and I need to be able to get to that in order to arm up for the... That jump gets me every single time. You'd think I would have learned by now. It's the second enemy you run into. Of course it gives me this. And what's the bet? It's a level where there isn't a weaponry stock station. You know, I really need to learn not to open my mouth because it appears to not be doing me well today. Fantastic. Absolutely fantabulous. How the hell am I going to get down there now? That. Go right back across here. Ow. I swear the collision masks on, well, pretty much every enemy in the game is just a little off. Maybe it's the main character that feels a bit too big, I don't know, but honestly, there is something a little bit off with the way collisions work in this game, just a bit. Of course, I'm dead. Yeah, had a feeling. Well, at least I took the son of a bitch with me. So that was a quick look at Super Mutant Alien Assault. I am not doing this video again because holy shit, the amount of takes it took me where I got at least a decent start was too many. So it's a pretty good, I'd almost call it a homage to Super Crate Box. The arcadey action is enjoyable. You get a decent amount of stuff that flows in a little bit too slowly for my liking, but you kind of have to deal with the fact that the game is very difficult, and sometimes it feels like a dice roll can decide an entire run for you. Thankfully, runs don't usually last longer than like 15 minutes unless you're on the endless mode, but, well, there you go. You've had your warning. Don't buy it if you don't like very hard games. This has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.